Good morning, monkeys. Welcome to episode 3 of our scenario series here at RCT Classic. Wow, I just screwed that up. No, we're here at Coaster Monkey Studios, where we're doing an RCT Classic series based on the scenarios. And here we are in Forest Frontiers, picking up where we left off in our last episode. So we've already beaten the scenario. We know this has happened. Now we're just having fun, right? And this is the premise of this entire series. What we're going to do is we're going to go through each scenario, or as many scenarios as I could fit in before I get bored of this series. I'm kidding. And beat the scenario, and then once we're done with the scenario, have a little bit of fun with the terrain, right? Instead of using a flat terrain map or something that we make, let's use what's in the in-game. And for those of you that don't know, you can actually take in-game scenario maps and turn them into your own scenarios too, which is something I recently found out, which is pretty freaking cool. All right, so let's get started here with what's going on. We are building a food outlet in the very back half of our park here. Picture a multi-tiered restaurant. I almost think like, at Luna Park in Coney Island where I grew up, you've got across the street used to be these grand food places, restaurants, places you'd go to, either have a sit down or a grab and go meal. And they were just so luxurious and grand. And that's what I wanted to create in the very back of the park. This is going to be, the rear weenie, if you will. And we're going to create a nice little area back here. Very carnival-like, very amusement park-like. But I wanted this particular building to really, really, really stand out. So where did my inspiration come from for this building? Well, it's funny you say that. I'm actually taking my inspiration from a building that's not in an amusement park, but in a theme park. My inspiration was actually It's a Small World, right? And you're thinking, how's he going to do It's a Small World? Well, it's a very loose inspiration, right? But the idea is multicolored, geometric shapes, very odd angles, and you're going to see what we do here. So I'm going to let the tape roll for a little bit so you guys kind of see what I build out here. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this quote-unquote It's a Small World inspired food outlet. Enjoy. Check you guys in a bit. All right, so with the magic of movie making, ta-da, there's the full building. Yeah, so I didn't want to bore you with all building the same thing over and over again, but you get the idea, right? We have that whole facade there. It's completely built out, very fun, whimsical, and in the back it's just a flat warehouse. And I threw some decorations just on the top of that warehouse, just so it didn't look so blasé, blah. All right, so now moving into the next building we're building here. This is actually we're building. The next construction project that we're doing here is going to be the train station for this ride. Now, this is going to be a one-station train station, and the whole premise behind this train ride is it's going to be very similar to what Dollywood does, whereas the train goes around the park and then goes into this area where it stops, and then there's a shootout that goes on between like these, you know, Western guys, you know, this sheriff and this bandit, and, you know, really cool stuff. So that's the idea behind this train station here and this entire train ride. And we're going to have it go off into the far cut where that lake is, that you could buy that property out all the way out on the far side of the park here. And that's kind of what I wanted to create here, something very similar to that experience. And I don't think we've got cops and robbers or sheriffs and bandits that were able to put entertainers out there. But what I am going to do is I'm going to build a little village out there in the next episode of just some mining houses and some self-made Western-esque houses. You know, obviously we don't have the wood pieces or the mining pieces here, specifically the wood walls to really give a good look. But we're going to be able to pull it off, and I'll let you guys see that shortly. But yeah, I'm going to continue to build and let you guys hang out and watch for a little bit. All right, guys, and there you have it with our train station. I love the way this whole area looks. When you walk through the station underneath and walk on out, you're then presented with this grand food outlet, right? Which is so cool. I love the way it looks with the red and yellow, and you know, it's a really fun way to transition into another area in amusement park feeling, right? Now, we're not going for the theme park feel, right, where you're transitioning from one theme to another. Here, we're utilizing buildings, different color buildings and foliage, to change and transition from one area of the park to the next. As you see here, just throwing in some lakes up in the front here. As we go past the train station with my favorite topiaries ever, the squirrels. I love the squirrels and the alligators. They're my favorite topiaries in the whole game. I use them all the time. But yeah, so we're just making some quick, fresh pond lakes here. Freshwater ponds, you know what I mean. Yeah, and then putting up some shrubbery around there. Just give it a nice, real grassy, I want it to feel very, organic, right? All right, so as we were saying in an earlier episode, we're going to put the haunted house back over here to kind of go with the whole Phantasmagoria vibe. And this is going to be a transition walkway from a secondary transition area from the main area of the park. Oh, excuse me, going past our haunted house underneath the spire for our Vekoma shuttle. And then we're going to have that train go directly underneath the walkway there, leading into the next area, which is going to be a water ride that you saw in the thumbnail. Yeah, pretty cool. So excited for that. And again, this is very typical of what I do for these. I've been thinking about trying to build a haunted house around the haunted house from a theming perspective to maybe increase the excitement rating. I haven't really figured out how to do that yet, but it's something I am testing and may use in a future park. So keep that in mind. I think it'd be pretty cool. And if you guys have ever done that, put theming around the haunted house and kind of covered it over with walls and roof pieces and whatever to kind of make your own haunted house to cover it over, I would love to see it. Definitely send me a screenshot or something, or a link to I don't know if you have it somewhere or whatever. I would love to see it. Maybe throw it on my Discord. I'll throw the Discord link in the description below so you guys can join in on there. I don't have any guests, many people joining my Discord just yet. But I'm kind of trying to figure out how I'm going to transition into using Discord on a regular basis. But yeah, so here we are just building a nice little walkway that goes over the train here. And this is where I kind of get the inspiration. I'm thinking like, what do you usually see around the trains, right? There's a lot of brick walls. That's first and foremost. And I think the brick walls work really well. We're going to actually wind up extending that down with the fence. The fenced brick wall there by the haunted house. In a bit, but then look what I did. I put gravel underneath all the train tracks. So cool, right? It looks realistic. I love it. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to build out a really quick, really fast water ride, log flume. Very simple idea here. I didn't want to go too nuts with it, but in the same breath, I wanted it to still be exciting and inviting to our guests, right? So look at it. Super simple, super easy, very short. I don't even think I went that far around with it, to be honest with you. It goes up, it goes around, it goes over, and then it comes down. Boom, done, right? You think very amusement park. We're going to have a little bit of theming on this one. Picture this being like maybe early 80s, right? So this park opened, I don't know, let's say early 70s, right? So they had a really great run for 10 years, and in the early 80s, Arrow comes along and says, I've got this awesome log flume that we want to put in your park. So we decided to take all this money that we have and we invest it in this awesome log flume, and that's what we do here. That's the whole idea with this. This is their big investment, one of their big investments in the 80s, and we're going to do one more big investment late 80s, early 90s on the other side of our little plaza that we created there, and that's going to be a little bit of a surprise for the next and final episode for Forest Frontiers. So stay tuned for that in the next episode. It's going to be pretty cool. But yeah, no, I love the way this looked. The layout is very clean. The way we do the queue is super clean as well. Again, I wanted it to be very fresh, very clean, very quick. Again, this is an amusement park. We're not going to theme park. We're not going to massive theming. And I'll say it over and over again, right? I think about the log flume that used to be in Coney Island. I mean, it probably took up maybe like, I don't know, 50 feet by 100 feet. That was the whole footprint of the log flume, and it had, one double drop and one, massive drop at the end. I remember, you know, as a kid going to Coney Island and being like, wow, oh my God, this is so cool, you know, and stoked and freaking out over it. Yeah, but it was an amusement park, you know, or fairgrounds type log flume that we went on. And that's kind of what I wanted to do here, but with a little bit extra theming, right? Because we've got a little bit more money to play with as a quote unquote amusement park. All right, so we got our log flume in. I believe we're going to be opening it up shortly. We put in a, oh yeah. So for all of my parks, for those of you that don't know my pricing on this, my pictures are always going to be $4. $4 seems to be the cap that they'll spend for pictures. Now in a park like this where there's not an you're not able to put in an ATM, unfortunately, yeah, we wind up, you know, our guests, you know, turn over very fast, right? But the more rides we put in, the more guests we have to cap. Plus, we could also market, right? But I always put my pictures at $4. Now, throwing in just additional couple of flat rides here on this side. And again, this is just a transitional, not really a transitional area. So you've got this whole back area, right? The center's gonna be super whimsical. You've got these very basic fairground rides. Right there on the dirt pathway, you've got this log flume that we put in that we're going to theme out right now with some really easy, simple mining theming, nothing too crazy. We're not doing any rock work. You know, we want to have exposed framework. We want to have exposed supports, because the whole idea is that, you know, we're a budget park that's still offering rides, right? That log flume is going so quick. That's great. Now, I did put up a fence all the way around here, but then I realized when you're on the train, you can't really see around you when the fence was up. So I wanted to take the fence down. And what we're going to do in the next episode, or maybe even before the next episode, I want the next episode to focus on the entire other side. Maybe I'll throw foliage and a whole lot of gardening work all around, and the landscaping all around this area here. So say when we go into the next episode, we'll start it off by showing you off what that looks like. And then we can really just dig into the other side of the park. We'll build our little mining town that the train goes out to. And then we'll build our final roller coaster, which is going to be a fun one. A yawn there. Wow. Again, in thinking about the theme work here too, it's super simple. We're just putting up some framework, some houses, buildings for this stuff to go through, up and over and around. And that's the intention, right? We want it to be very quick, very simple, very easy, you know, super budget. And I wound up taking some of this out too, because I realized it looked a little bit too much, right? For a budget park. There's a lot going on there. But we're going to wind up filling that all in with those pine trees that you see all around. So, and there you have it. That's our whole thing. I hope you guys enjoy. Catch us next time. And you can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Discord. We have a Discord server as well, Coaster Monkey Studios, as well as Patreon. Don't forget to hit us up on Patreon. Every little bit helps to keep the channel going. Thanks a lot, guys, so much, and have yourselves an amazing day. Ciao.